북미랑 유럽 하면 제 개인적인 생각으로는 아무래도 약간 유럽이 조금 더 강하지 않나 싶어요.
Emperor played with him in solo queue when he was on TDK, and I thought he was really fucking good.
제가 일단 팀한테 얘기 듣기를 NA 팀한테는 지면 다시 유럽으로 못 돌아간다고 얘기를 들었거든요. 그래서 절대 지면 안 된다고 생각해요.
For me, it's important to beat NA. You know, I have to prove that Europe is a better region.
China and Korea. The rivalry comes from them having to face off against each other, usually like in the final every single time.
아무래도 롤드컵 결승이 컸던 것 같아요. 시즌 3, 4. 한국이랑 중국이랑 두 번 연속 만났잖아요.
저번 MSI 때 기억이 좀 안 좋게 남아있어서 약간은 좀 불안하네요.
我们这次代表中国队来打 M 赛，压力挺大的吧？因为也在上海打嘛，自己的赛区。
MSI를 못 이겨봤기 때문에 MSI가 가장 이기고 싶은 대회인 것 같아요.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for day 2 of the 2016 League of Legends Mid-Season Invitational. With the round robin in full swing, the pressure is on here in Shanghai's Oriental Sports Center, where earlier we caught a look at CLG entering the studio. As you can see, also some aerial shots of the venue itself. But our first contenders, CLG, they're going to be going up soon. However, Flash Wolves get a little practice in before they take part later in a game today. The LPL's Royal Never Give Up doing exactly the same thing, locking in their strategies for the remainder of the day. And of course, G2 Esports, who will be playing in that first game of the day against CLG, that EU versus NA rivalry, hot as ever. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm James Patterson, anchoring the analyst desk alongside League Masters Series Clement Shu, LPL's Jake Spontiberi, and Joshua Jat Leesman of the NALCS. Gentlemen, rested and ready for another 6 games today?
Yeah, absolutely. This is only getting started. This is the second day of 5 on group stage.
Yeah, a lot of really exciting matchups coming our way. Day 2 of MSI will kick off in just a few moments with our transatlantic clash between Counterlogic Gaming and G2 Esports. Then it's Korea's SK Telecom versus China's Royal Never Give Up, and we'll see the LMS's Flash Wolves take on Turkey's Super Massive.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good day of games. How much better can it get when we start? We get EU versus NA, which, you know, that'll add a little heat to the rivalry, I'm sure. And then we get SKT versus RNG, so Korea versus China. They're going to want their first bit of revenge from last year.
And there's so much on the line today because a couple of teams got off to really slow starts, especially looking at G2. They need that win against CLG, old rivals there between EU and NA. And honestly, even Supermassive, you know, they'll look at day 1 and they'll be like, we were closer than we maybe thought against Royal Never Give Up, and we can take that next step.
Yeah, G2 needed to be a part of the conversation, but Flash Wolves and CLG being locked at 1-1 together, they're going to be vying for position.
Exactly, man. The Flash Wolves, I think today they have a slightly easier schedule. They have Supermassive and then SKT. So if they can walk away with a 1-1, I think they're pretty happy.
Right, as long as they can lock in that win, make sure they get what they're expected to get. MSI started off with a bang as the 6 contenders each had 2 showings on the Rift. We've got Royal Never Give Up and SKT at the top of the table with 2-0 apiece. CLG and the Flash Wolves sitting at 1-1, and G2 and Supermassive of Turkey still looking for their first wins of the tournament.
I really think that SKT has looked so dominant so far. They're really coasting on like a dynamic queue kind of feeling. Like they're playing slow and tempered in LCK, but they're playing really fast here. If you look at their bans, they're just banning whatever the opponent most plays. Like, they're not being scratched or challenged strategically. They're just going on basic individual mechanical strength, and they're coming out ahead.
Yeah, they look like the team that was most ready to play as well. They know every single top meta champion, which allows them to just target ban so efficiently and then just pick the greatest theoretical team composition in any game they play, and they still know how to play it, which is amazing.
Now, that being said, they did have a fairly easy schedule yesterday. They played the 2 teams that haven't won yet in the tournament. So today, having to play against RNG and the Flash Wolves, maybe a bit more of a test to see really how good this team is.
Yeah, and let's speak about the other team that is also 2-0. RNG were able to pick up 2 wins in what is a very unforgiving tournament structure, but they weren't very convincing on that day 1. one, especially the victory over Supermassive. As you can see, they locked in a strange team comp. Tom Kench, Siva, these are not picks that we're used to seeing. They also had to play against the Aurelian Soul, which they hadn't seen before, and they said it threw them through a little bit of a loop. So I think that RNG will be very happy they survived day one unscathed.
Yeah, and they were up against COG in the very first game, and I think that was a bit of a tragic game, in my opinion, for COG because they brought out Aurelian Sol. COG looked like they had so many surprises ready. Not only were they going to be team fighting, but they were going to be playing the new champion, and they're going to have Stixay also on a hyper carry who nearly pulled out a pentakill later in the game on Caitlyn. So I was really impressed with the first game of COG, and it was tragic they ended up with a loss.
And I'm impressed by the Caitlyn, man. This is a champion that I question going into the tournament. Does it actually have a place in the meta? The big answer is yes. I think it is now a must ban.
Yeah, talking about like Stixay, I think he's my favorite player right now because he makes so many plays for his team and for the enemy team as well. He's on this position where if he was a bit worse or a bit better, I feel like the games wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah, because he could, if he wasn't making these bad mistakes, have actually taken over a lot of those games, but he'd either die in front of the turret. I think the aggression of Mata really threw him for a bit of a loop. I know Aphromoo said in an interview, like, the supports here at MSI really have a good go button, which a lot of the other supports that he plays against in North America don't, and that definitely threw Stixay and caught him by surprise a few times.
Yeah, but it has been nice to see that CLG is adapting, right? As they've learned that the meta here is going to be a bit more scrappy and fast-paced, they're perfectly willing to jump into that. Now, it isn't perfect yet, but we'll see if they refine as the tournament goes on. Next up on the docket, I want to talk about the Flash Wolves from LMS.
Well, I think the Flash Wolves are coming in a little offbeat. Like, they used to be the best early game team, and that was what I was expecting out of them. But like this tournament, they're down an average of 1,700 gold at 15 minutes, so they're not really doing much in the early game.
Yeah, I think a big part of that as well is also Maple's champion pool. He's playing fantastic League of Legends, but he's not playing the Assassins, much more towards a late game scaling. It's costing them early game, it's costing them Dragons, and I think that they may try and swap that up a little bit to it and see if they can start snowballing these.
I want to see LeBlanc.
Yeah, I want to see them play faster because that was their big improvement from Worlds last year to the playoffs in the LMS this year, is that they could play faster, but it seems like they were very, very cautious here on the World stage. The second worst gold difference at 15 minutes of any, like, the only team that's lower is Supermassive.
Right.
So they're capable of playing faster. They need to do it on this stage.
All right, well, they did get the 1-1 yesterday, but we're going to be looking for more out of them today. Lastly, we got to talk about G2, Europe's superstar team that a lot of people had high hopes for, and here they are starting the tournament off 0-2.
Yeah, and I had high hopes for them as well, but a different team has seemed to show up to this tournament. Not the team that won Spring, but, you know, a team that isn't sticking to their game plans, drafting a specific 1-3-1 comp and then playing it more like a team fighting comp. A little bit panicked, a little bit rushed in their game plan. This is not what we were expecting out of G2. We wanted decisive macro play, and we've seen it for the first 20 minutes of one game, but never again.
Yeah, and I'm going to be careful how hard I go in on G2 since North America is playing them right now, and that would make it a little more embarrassing if North America loses to Europe. But in all seriousness, they did look very bad on day one. We just have to keep in mind that it was just 2 games. It was still day one. They now have to adapt and dig themselves out of the hole they dug themselves into on day one.
I'm really looking for Perkz to show up because he was the big mid laner coming into this tournament, and he really hasn't done much so far. But I think against Hui on the purple side, he has a good counter pick matchup, and Hui really hasn't been pressured in lane before. So this is Perkz' time to shine.
All right, we'll see if he can do it. It won't be long until we find out. Now, as the tournament continues, we want to hear from you at home. Get on Twitter and tell us what surprised you the most so far on day one of MSI and why. Do you gentlemen have anything that jumps to mind immediately?
Stixay's Caitlyn. Like, I'm just going to say it over and over again. When I looked at Stixay's champion pool, I thought he was completely out of touch with the meta. No Siva, very little Lucian towards the end of the season. However, these sieging, long-range 80 carries, I don't get what it is about international tournaments, but North America do it time and time again, and it is just so potent.
They got that one strategy. We'll see if they have another one. The thing that surprised me, though, is teams' inability to play around objectives properly. The amount of Baron and Dragon steals we saw was way too damn high. Like, they just need to be able to, like, twist and advance the jungler if he comes to steal him and at least kill him for it. Like, there were so many 50-50s that just shouldn't have been 50-50s yesterday.
And I want to build up on those 2 points because we're seeing really, really messy games from all the middle 4 teams there. They're not really playing the A-tier game that they might have played domestically. So I think people are getting a lot away from, like, the late game Azira, the late game Caitlyn. I really want to see someone challenge, at least push SKT a little bit.
That was
please.
good. That's the question, right? When you're in a tournament with SKT, is it even possible to look clean? Who knows? We'll be sure to find out. But be sure to send your thoughts to @LOL Esports and include the hashtag MSI2016 so we can get your input later today. Also, remember to show your regional pride as the tournament continues by equipping your MSI Summoner icon in-game. In addition to taking over our stage, the region with the most in-game support for their team at the end of MSI will earn a party IP weekend. Gotta go for it, get that IP. We've got a full slate of games today, so let's dive right into the action and send things over to our casters for the first clash of the afternoon.
To show up, and they had a good start. Again, 1-1 on the first day, playing two teams just around them in the standings, that middle pack we have. They couldn't honestly have hoped for much more.
And we'll see if that sort of positive training can continue or if G2 can actually bring Europe back up here. But picks and bans are just moments away, so let's take a quick look at the starting lineups for both of these squads here. Starting off on the left-hand side of the map, in the blue corner is going to be Counter Logic Gaming here. Darshan the top lane, great player. Smithy in the jungle as well has been really stand out this tournament so far. Huhi in the mid lane also holding up better than many expected. Stixxay, the main carry force of the team on AD carry, and Aframu, a world-class support leading up for them. Zix, their coach behind them, who's also done a really good job, I think, coming up with fun pick and bans for the team.
Yeah, really like the pick and ban phase from CLG. On the other side, though, we have the European LCS champions, G2 Esports, with Kikis in the top lane, Trick, the MVP in the jungle, Rookie of the Split, Perks in the mid lane. Emperor is the AD carry for this team, and his support is, of course, Hybrid down in the bottom lane. Coach is Youngbuck, also coach of the Split. A lot of titles for G2.
Yeah.
And also, one of the big reasons why people expected so much.
And I definitely agree. I think it's been an interesting tournament of many perceptions honestly holding true. SKT have been completely dominant. They're 2-0. Their games honestly don't even look close. They've been amazing. Royal as well, honestly, have been a solid, really team-fighting, very aggressive Chinese team, and we're not really surprised to see them at the top. But the fact that Stixxay and Huhi have done so much better than people would have thought coming in, where it's like, look, there's so many good mid laners. Perks is the hot rookie. Fakers around here. Maple's like the best player in LMS. Xiaohu's like the second best player born in China. Like, great big names. And Hui's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll hold up against this. You know, and again, similarly, Stixxay has been doing quite well.
Now, I want to look at these bans here. If I'm CLG, I target out Kikis with two specific bans. Trundle is one of them. I would also ban a Maokai, and I would actually first pick Echo for Darshan. And I would simply say, okay, Kikis, you haven't really shown anything other than these two champions if you look at playoffs, and if you look at the one game you had here, and you simply try and move him away from his best champions. On the side of G2, Caitlyn, honestly, we talked about this. You need to see what Stixxay can do on a different champion.
And I want to see if they're actually going to remove champs for Huhi as well. The Zed, of course, a great champion for Perks overall, but also counterpicks a great number of mid laners, and I wonder if that starts informing what Huhi might want to play here.
All right, so I think G2 is going to ban Bard as the last one if they want to remove some of the strong laning power again from CLG's bottom lane. And then actually we have almost everything we could have expected. Nidalee is still the standard purple side. The question is for CLG, with Ryze being available, and it's a great champion for Perks, do you value that above taking the Echo? But if you do, you kind of nullify your bans, because then you give Kikis one of his best champions, and your entire strategy was removing comfort picks away from Kikis, make him a weak laner, and give an advantage to Darshan. So I think Echo for him would make a lot of sense, but it's a big risk with the Ryze pick.
Definitely agree. Ryze is up there. Of course, you can split some of the junglers here. Graves and Kindred not far apart in power. You probably split those 1-1. As far as supports go, that Bard is still up for Aframu. Kindred is actually the pickup here.
Interesting.
People still perceive this champion to be well above. Yeah, I think Echo's for sure, but Kindred is believed to be just well above the Graves, who's next in line.
Yeah, now obviously a lot of times you would take either two power picks in the first rotation on the red side, or you just take like the best support left, because you don't want to show too much. But I think going Ryze Echo is actually not terrible if you consider the fact that G2 are really, really good with these two specific picks.
Yes.
Obviously, you show instantly that Echo is going to top lane and Ryze is going mid lane, so you lose some of the potential flex picking. But this is about removing some key picks also from CLG, because we know they can play the Echo, we know they can play the Ryze in mid lane. I just want to see if Huhi is going to have a special pick ready, because they're obviously going to expect Ryze to be locked in by G2 here.
And that's the thing, is depending how you play the pick and ban, typically we consider red side to be the team that gets to counterpick, to get to wait and play the matchup that's best for them. But the way the pinch was set up, the Kindred on the one side, the Rise Echo on the other, as you mentioned, CLG can now counterpick both of these solo lanes.
And that clearly must have been the goal, because otherwise I would heavily disagree with the Kindred first pick. When you have a Graves as well, or even an Elise pick for Xmithy against the Kindred, I think when you target the top laner with 2 bans, you do not give him the 3rd champion he can actually play at the top level right now. Unless they're basically saying we actually don't trust in your Echo at all, and we just don't trust in Kikis right now on a champion that requires mechanics. But I think that is a risky one for CLG. We have to see if Kikis can show up.
It's going to be on Kikis. He's definitely had a shaky tournament so far, as has the rest of G2. Of course, 0-2 so far in this tournament. Poppy, though, grabbed to battle the top lane matchup. The Lucian grabbed early on. Not going to go to Emperor here. Stixxay not going on that. Caitlyn, of course, it was banned away, and Lucian's the next go-to.
Yeah, knowing G2 now, they would love to log in a Kalista, Thresh, or bot lane. Like, just an extremely strong 2v2 lane into the Lucian, and then opt into these standard lanes. Another option is the Ezreal pick if you want a safer choice, more late game scaling.
Sure.
But they normally stick to very, very strong 2v lanes. Poppy, no surprise, with all the top lane bans and of course Echo being picked away. And we're still obviously waiting for that last pick for Huhi from CLG.
He had a cheeky Aurelion Soul Hover earlier, not that I think it's that likely.
Showed it, okay. G2 is opting a little bit away from what we would consider a lane bully. Also taunting a little bit with the Soraka, because why not?
Like, I know we left this up for you, by the way. Soraka did get a few nerfs in 6.8, and of course that's the patch we're playing on right here. But the Bard actually grabbed up for Hybrid, a champion that many people are afraid of from Aftermove, but it's going to be Hybrid to play it here.
I think that's the reason to actually take it. First of all, Hybrid has played it quite a bit back in Europe.
Yes.
But also, you want to take it away one more time from Aftermove. So honestly, while 3 of the picks here for G2 fit them well, they also pick CLG normally would really like to play.
Yes, absolutely.
So they're managing to hit kind of both things. You know, you do well for yourself, but also you steal away from the others.
Absolutely agree with you. I think it's a great way to play the pick ban phase. As long as your comp is cohesive at the end of the day, you're able to take things away that are important to your opponents. You combine that with the bans you've already added in. Aftermove can't play as Alistar. Again, we say that Stixxay can't play as Caitlyn, but here's the Rocket. The Soraka does get played anyway, and Azir into the mid lane, into this rise for Huhi.
All right, so this is a matchup in mid lane that is very exciting because there are a lot of different opinions. A guy like Perks actually thinks that Ryze does fine into Azir, but then you can ask other mid laners who think Azir beats Ryze. I think it's a skill matchup for sure. And I think it's a matchup Perks is fine taking, but also a good safe choice here for Huhi. And I really love the Soraka because the European supports have been so vocal about how useless Soraka is.
Yeah.
And Aftermove gets a chance to show it.
You're right, we don't see a lot of good Soraka play out of Europe, but actually there's several North American supports who really love the champion. It's one of the things I do enjoy about tournaments like MSI is regions have their own perception of what champions are good, what styles are best here, what they're going to be doing to bring it out here, and you get these one-sided picks that only certain teams play. And CLG with the Soraka, the final pick of Graves, of course, does go through. No surprise there in the G2 draft, and we have all 10 players.
Yeah, and obviously the lineup from both teams here, we talked about it, stealing away comfort picks, but still on the side of CLG because they value that Kindred so high. Gave away some of these S-tier picks. Still, when you get an Azir later on, when you get a Lucian pick with a Caitlyn ban, you're more than happy with these picks. And the Soraka lane, extremely strong. Obviously, you have to basically all in it as a bot Ezreal lane. And then you can see Hybrid on your screen. He's picking Ignite for now. Could see G2 opt into that 2v2.
Well, it'll be fun to watch then if that 2-on-2 goes in. Range supports, plenty of damage on the AD carries. We'll see how it goes. And we are here at the mid-season invitational, the beginning of day 2, the North America versus Europe matchup here. If G2 wins, these teams are tied 1-2, coming in 30% of the way through the group stage for these squads. And as the coaches shake hands to say, yep, we are done with picks and bans, it's now up to the 10 players on the Rift that are determined who's going to win this one. You guys at home can also let us know who's going to be winning it as well. You're always part of the show. You can send your predictions to @ElevelEsports with hashtag CLGWin or hashtag G2Win for which team it's going to be. Western North America, it's still late night, so they're going to be awake for this one. In Western Europe, it's pretty early in the morning, but I feel like you're going to wake up early to make sure you can watch this one live.
Definitely.
Wake up your roommates, let them know this matchup's going on.
It's fine for now. On Sunday, it's going to be a little bit more problematic.
Now, as we look towards the stage, of course, we can see Europe is the one owning the Rift here. The higher share of their players are sporting the region's icon in-game, so
go Europe! Fantastic early game by CLG. They saw a lot of aggressive plays by G2 when they didn't have the tools to really pull them off, and they just punish it. Again, Kikis without teleport, Hybrid trying to make that little cheesy play around the mid lane. Obviously a little bit unlucky for him, but the fact that Kikis didn't have teleport was something G2 knew, and yet they still opted into aggressive fights and lost more and more and more.
That's the G2 style, though. This is the team that plays medium risk, medium reward. Cool, we're down for it. Could it backfire heavily? That's okay. We think it might work out well for us. And at this tournament, those choices are getting punished repeatedly. Whether it's flashing over walls, ganking without teleport, hoping Smithy's not there, hoping they can dive a turret. Well, they're backfiring.
And it's a team who's playing like it's basically just a normal ranked game at home.
Sure.
Because it seems like the communication between these members are just, it's gone. Like, the fact that this gank can even happen in the first place without anyone saying, no, wait. They have teleport, we don't. We can't make this play, you know? No one seemed to say anything. And once they lose a few kills, everything just snowballs for CLG. And again, they can be so happy and fantastic for this team because you come in and you want to get that great start. Because first of all, it gives you some confirmation that as a team, we are good enough to compete with these other regions. And we can actually make, you know, top 4, even top 2 is what they're saying now.
Right.
Stixay and Aftermove both talking about top 2.
I mean, Counterlogic Gaming came into this season as an under-respected team. Oh, they lost Doublift. Oh, they dropped Poe Belter for Huhi and Stixay. Like, we barely even know who these guys are. And then by the end of it, well, Counterlogic Gaming was the only team to beat Immortals. Then they won the split. They come to MSI. It's like, well, yeah, but you're North America. That's funny. It's like, well, no, we're going to actually have a super tight game against China's #1 team. They beat Flashwell. They beat G2. This is definitely a top caliber team. And as you said, they can fight for top 2. It's believable.
It is. I mean, we've seen the other teams now, RNG, Flash Wolves as well, look to be basically the same level as CLG. G2 is the team we have to put under these guys. And honestly, at the level right now where we don't even know if this team in the current state can beat the Turkish super team. And then, you know, G2 coming in saying we're going to be top 2, you know, we're going to be one of the best teams. They've really fallen and fallen and fallen.
They have fallen really rapidly. Look, there's still 7 games left for G2. The chance to come back up always does exist. Most of these matches were very close. Keep in mind, they almost smashed Flash Wolves in day 1. Like, that first
was
game
the only
they
good
played,
match, yeah.
And you're right, there were 2 bad games afterwards, and that gives a lot of, like, really bad feelings to all the G2 fans. But they nearly had a 28-minute smashing. They nearly had a game that looked as this did.
Yeah.
In G2's favor. So there are those glimmers, and because there's 10 games to play, because they've only played 3 of those, there is always that chance that G2 does turn it around. And for all the fans, you can be hopeful that team does show back up at the end of it all. Perks, his mid laner got fed a kill by his top lane ganking, and Perks still into the game 3 and 4, which is not the worst score in the world, honestly. Had, you know, 3 of his team's 4 kills.
No, I feel bad for him because it seems to be the lanes around him basically falling apart right now. And then it's always whoever he's laning against who picks up a few kills from it. You know, Faker yesterday as well got 2 early kills by TPing down to the bottom lane. And then he returns to mid lane and Faker's like, oh, okay. It's kind of unfair. So he's definitely trying right now in the mid lane. We just see, honestly, too many mistakes as a team. And right now the game is so much about teamwork. Like when they teleports and coordinated ganks and everything, it's about teamwork more than individual skill.
Yes.
And that's where G2 right now is completely lost.
But it's where CLG are strongest. And honestly, they've been a teamwork team. They've done it so far here as well. A 2-1 start to MSI is a great one. So now we're going to check in with the analyst desk for a closer look at that win.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. CLG picking up their 2nd win of the tournament in a very dominating victory over G2 Esports. And, you know, looking at this champion select, I was like, oh, there's a lot of things that I'm going to want to talk about and ask you guys questions about. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's all moot when you hand over first blood, a triple kill in the top lane, and a kill in the mid lane on a failed turret dive, all within the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yep, those plays were really bad by Europe, honestly, and G2. And CLG did have good prep for those plays, and they did execute properly. I liked how they utilized their teleport advantage. I liked their level 1 punish, where they were able to get the first blood. And then it was one big snowball from there.
Yeah, so let's... the one part of this game that I was, like, incredibly impressed with, that I actually thought NA set up really well as opposed to G2 gifting them a lot of the advantage, was their level 1. CLG has consistently shown that their level 1s are to get it done, but at the end of the day, that costs them to blow a teleport, and they go for this gank, and it just all backfires.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look at this top lane. The teleport is still up for Echo, not Echo, for Darshan right here, and he gets a triple so easy. Like, Emperor tries to go for the kill and even ease in.
Exactly, and it goes from bad to worse, too, because as they're chasing down kills here, Kikis had tried to roam for the mid lane and flopped a gank horribly onto Huhi, who had actually not been able to escape the initial move by the Rise. So, like, at that point of the game, I think there were some concerning parts for COG as they tried to close it out. I thought Azir wasn't part of Huhi's champion pool coming into this event. I still don't think Azir is part of his champion pool because he missed a lot of
This is that
dashes
game
towards
you
the
were
end of the
talking
game.
about here, where Kikis roams in. And
It was close.
This is really bad out of Kikis, though, because you secure the kill. Like, 100% you have to secure the kill. He's not getting out any other way. So, like, you're dead regardless. Like, one turret shot, you should know that. Just keep hitting the guy because you're going down.
Yeah.
Right. You might as well trade the 1-for-1 as opposed to the 1 for 0.
And a flash.
Away from, yeah, exactly. And a flash and the amount of time that you spent roaming away from your own lane. So overall, I mean, CLG afforded opportunities by some poor decision-making outside of G2 is capitalization. We can't ignore that. But let's talk a little bit more then about the cleanliness of closing this out, because not every team, when we look at RNG, Flash Wolves, and SKT, are going to give CLG the same kind of opportunity to close out a game that G2 did here.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of questionable moves there by Huhi's Azir. He kept dying to Rise randomly, and like we mentioned, that Perks' itemization was pretty much on par with Huhi, even though it was a 12,000 gold difference.
Right.
But I do have to say for CLG, it's very hopeful because they're 2-1. They've played 3 of the teams that are supposed to be right on their level that they're competing with. Now they have the international wildcard team and the Korean team to deal with. So playing the odds are going to be 3-2 heading to second round robin, and that's great for them.
And you know, going into this day, we said, can Darshan lift up his level? Answer immediately, yes. He had some mistakes, but
Come on.
all right,
that
no
was easy.
response.
That was easy.
No, but you have to understand, right? Okay, so this is an easy game. How do they do it? The exact same way that they've been winning North American games. This isn't easy. You got here onto the world stage, like. You still have to pull the trigger on the teleport play. I mean, yesterday I'm sitting there watching MMD. I'm like, you have so many teleport plays that you can make bottom lane.
Yeah.
He just doesn't make the play. CLG, every time, they punish every mistake in the early game, and that is hard to do.
Yeah. That being said, there were some mechanical misplays as well. We saw a couple times people failing to, get over the Baron wall and having to blow flashes. Those are the kinds of things that we're going to look for them to clean up moving into the future. That's enough of that game, though. Now for a word with victorious CLG, we're going to send it down to Shox, who's standing by.
Well, thank you so much, Dash. I'm joined here by Darshan and Xmithy, and they could, of course, hear you guys talking about the game just now, and there were some giggles there with the flashes over the walls and stuff. Overall, though, fantastic game for you guys, and we heard Spawn talk about you, Darshan, specifically in that early game. Tell me what happened there, because out of nowhere, seemingly, you guys came up with a triple kill and had a huge advantage to start things off.
Yeah, for some reason, all these teams are just trying really hard to gank our bottom lane, and then, like, every single time I'm just TPing behind them for free kills. But yesterday, when I TP'd behind them, I didn't have E up, so I just walked up and kind of died. But this time I had all my abilities, so they all just kind of died. And I think yesterday I was kind of a little more unfocused, but I think as we go into the tournament, myself and the team are going to keep playing better and better as we get more focused and kind of understand our opponents better.
Yeah, however, for you specifically, yesterday we had some moments where the ultimate didn't come out and it might have decided a game, and we know that you are someone who always has a lot of confidence coming into these international tournaments. Can you kind of talk to me about the difference between that first game and then the second you ended up winning, and then this game that you absolutely dominate?
I think it was actually just me being more focused, because I think 99 times out of 100, I'm going to remember to press R on Maokai before I W in and then lose us a 50-minute game, but that time I just kind of brain farted, and that kind of happens once in a while. But if I'm making those kind of plays every game, then I'm just bad. But if I make that once every 100 games, then it's okay, sometimes you just feels bad, man.
Feels bad, man. It happens. Xmithy, in this one specifically, all those things were happening. You ended up with only 1 assist. What was going on in your mind? Because you weren't too much part of the beginning of the game.
Well, yeah, I was actually in the fight, but I just got a little bit too late. I even tried to flash in, try to get an assist. At the last skill, I even tried to ask my team to give me an assist, guys, because I need a stack or something, but they just killed him. In this game, everyone's communication was just more on point. We're more focused, like Darshan said, and in this game, you didn't need to beat them like individually, like mechanically. You just need to work as a team.
Yeah, how would you say you feel your team CLG has done so far under the circumstances? Because we know IEM wasn't the greatest success. We think back to Worlds Week 2 and last year around. Do you feel like you've made big strides coming here and practicing here?
Yeah, definitely. I guess we're winning more now than I am, so that's first. And yeah, I guess just the jitters before, no one had like foreign really experience like our rookies, so it's just like more of a stride for us, like actually a really huge stride for us.
Yeah, Darshan, we heard in a video before the game you talking about, hey, we don't even get the support from our NA fans, and I think we deserve that. How much is an NA over EU victory important in that?
I think it's pretty big, but honestly, that game, we just got a really huge lead. I think G2 is a lot better than that game was, and I think it should have been a much closer game. I do think we're better than EU right now, but I'm hoping like the next time we play them and in future tournaments, like it's a lot more competitive because I feel like EU as a region is a lot better than they've been showing so far at this tournament.
To wrap it up, maybe now you are on the route to being 3-1, knowing that you have Supermassive later and you seem like you can go up against them as well. But then the possible rematch versus RNG, a team like SKT. Stixay said, hey, we can be top 2. I'm going to leave it at that. I'd love to know what you guys think.
Well, our motto coming to this tournament is respect all, fear none. It doesn't matter if it's Supermassive or SKT. We're going to be prepared as the most that we can on every team. So that's our goal.
Darshan.
Well, there's something about SKT when they play in tournament that they always look unstoppable and they're really hard to play against. And the last time we played against them, I felt like we had a pretty good chance of winning the game, but then we just, every way we knew how to play, we just kind of threw out the window. And I feel like that's the biggest problem against SKT is, yes, they're really good, but if you respect them enough, but not too much that you fear them, you can actually do well against them. And I think if we just go into the game with the right mindset, we can put up a much better fight.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. Fantastic game here, you guys. Congratulations, Xmithy and Darshan. And CLG taking out Europe. And talking about SKT, they are setting up on stage right now. The world champion undefeated going up against an also undefeated RNG, the home crown favorites. What a game coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Coaches shake hands to say, yep, we are done with picks and bans. It's now up to the 10 players on the Rift to determine who's going to win this one. Here's Xmithy, a double for Darshan. It's already 4-1. Make that 5. A triple kill for Darshan.
Backing up. You have no...
I got you. All right. They're going in. I'm hitting great. I'm running behind them. Nice, we got him. Look at Darshan. Go. I got it.
Go. Kindergarten's ulti. Go.
Take it. I'm in ulti.
I got him. Yo, I'm here. Down here.
Go up, Zach.
That's the turret going down, the re-engage in, kicking to the front line, lands it down, that gets right back out. Who is that? Down to Perks, a great pickup for the G2 mid laner. Logic Gaming representing North America, saying it's more than just NA versus EU, it's NA versus the world, and they start that out 2-1.